This is the place of the long wind, or so it was called by early men who crossed these barren wastes. An area apparently at the bankrupt end of nature's bounty. A place of incessant sun, wind, and sand. The bed of a lake that rarely has water. An area shunned by men and avoided by most forms of life. A place of largely unexplored potential, until fairly recently in man's history. How long ago man may have visited and warily retreated from this hostile environment is not known. The railroad came through the valley in 1856, and the first permanent settlers began to arrive in the following years. But not until around 1910 did any homesteaders venture to the edge of the lake itself. There, on the north edge of the lake, a family named Coram took out a claim and established a well. They found water at only 19 feet, and the growth of their community followed. They called it Muroc, Coram spelled backwards. Mrs. Effie Coram Pelton recalls her place somewhat nostalgically, for Muroc is now the site of Edwards Air Force Base, California.
I'm standing on the original homestead. Soon after we settled, others came in and settled around us, and the town of Muroc was formed. We raised White Holland turkeys and Plymouth Rock chicken, and where you see the Edwards hangar was once our alfalfa field.
The Army first took a military interest in the lake in 1933. Lieutenant Colonel Hap Arnold was in charge of March Air Base in those days and sent out a detail to place bombing targets on the lake. This was probably the best use for the area that anyone up till then had figured out. Tech Sergeant Harley Fogelman once wrote that he was in charge because they couldn't get any officer to stay out there. They'd just take one look at the place and take off again without shutting off their engine. Meanwhile, the area of the lake continued to be a favorite location for movies. The Desert Cavalry and the cowboys and Indians fought countless engagements through the sand and sage. The continuously clear weather, barren location, and proximity to the Los Angeles area, the same qualities that were to later make it valuable to aviation, recommended it to the Hollywood movie makers. In 1937, the entire Army Air Corps, all 200 planes, encamped on the lake for maneuvers and bombing practice.